We are live. YouTube is cooperating this time. Last time we did this, I meant to go live on YouTube on Tuesday, but I guess the oh, now it's like repeating back to me. Give me a moment here. I will figure this out. But hang out in the meantime. Hello, hello. Oh, there we go. Sweet. Alrighty. What's up, Matthew? Nice to see you. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Just played with tech issues over the last couple days, but I bet you can hear me. Tane. Hi from Brazil. That's always my first question is where are we streaming or um where are we logging in from? Blows my mind how worldwide it can be at times. And it's just France, Sweden. It excites me to think that the internet has made this possible. Because 50 years ago, as investors, we didn't have access to this kind of stuff. Now, there's pros and cons to the vast amount of information we have access to, which was why I always say, don't just listen to me. Take everything I say and anything you ever hear on the internet from anyone, I don't care if they're billionaires, and see how it applies to you and see if it even applies to you in your journey, because there's also steps to this, right? So I try not to dish out like, oh, this is what you have to do to be successful, because that's completely BS and untrue. But it blows my mind. France, Sweden, we got New Zealand. There we go. We got Americano from Florida. We got NJ, New Jersey, I think. Ecuador, what up? What is PNW? PNW. Spain, Zealand, New York, California, Utah. So awesome. So awesome. Dzień dobry, probably Poland-ish. Macedonia, El Salvador, awesome. Hungary, awesome. Cool. Thank you for being here. I'm sure the room will fill up. I have a pretty deep session today. We're going to really zoom out if that's cool with everyone. P.S. I'm going to do these monthly on YouTube, and everyone gets an invite. So I think we've got some UIG members in here. I can tell we got some YouTube people. We got people probably new to our world, and we got some people who've probably been here a while. Actually, that'll be my second question. Then we'll get into it. How long have you been connected to CryptoLabs in some way, shape, or form? Fairly new, recently, couple days, couple weeks. Is it months? Maybe it's years. There's some members in the UIG that are still with us from day one, and that's got to be near 2 years now, which is pretty crazy. So super, super awesome. Chad is 6 weeks. 6 weeks. We got 6 months. So awesome. Appreciate y'all's being here. Around 2 months. So cool. 2 months. Yeah, Cryptophilia, welcome to share. Cincinnati, Ohio. Yeah, sometimes we have a couple hundred people in here and the energy just gets through the roof. So let's see what today's stream will do. If you have anyone you want to share this with or any group you want to share it to, do so. I've joined UIG 2 weeks ago and it is awesome. Tane, thanks for that love. So awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Appreciate y'all's. I've been watching CryptoLabs for 3 months now. I hope to deliver for you, whether you're in our free world or in the paid stuff. I'm here to deliver. Let's talk about it. Here's what I want to do today. I want to zoom out for a few minutes and just talk about markets overall and comparing markets to TradeFi, to traditional finance. I've been doing some research on this because I've got a couple more $100,000 to invest. And just because of the way I've moved my accounts and just the way that I've done things, and I've been making some big decisions on where to allocate that capital. So I'm in the same boat as most people. And every avenue I looked when it came to TradeFi to further diversify no longer interests me even in the slightest. I think DeFi is such an awesome opportunity because it's a growing. I'll ask this question because this is the ultimate question you have to ask yourself. Do you think DeFi as a whole, and you've probably heard me ask this question a couple times already over the last few weeks, but do you think DeFi as a whole will be bigger in 5 to 10 years than it is now? We're not trying to predict what it'll look like and what coins and tokens and what projects will be on top. All I'm saying is the ecosystem as a whole, DeFi and crypto as a whole, do we think it's going to be bigger in 5 or 10 years, or do we think it's going to be a smaller industry? Do you think it's going to disappear? because your belief in research and conviction and the overall narrative is going to dictate how you invest in this market and how you invest in this industry, so to speak, how you invest in this sector, so to speak. And so if Chad believes, and from his research, from his analysts, from what he sees, if he believes it's going to be 100 times bigger in 4 years, then he's going to invest differently than someone who thinks, no, I think this cycle is a last cycle forever. And so they're literally going to invest very, very differently, and it's not going to be a one size fits all. I'm in it for the next decade plus. And so we're going to do a bit of an exercise here. And someone in here said, yeah, it won't disappear, but it may be different from what it is right now. I would replace maybe with it'll absolutely be different than what it looks like now. My job isn't to predict how it's going to look like, because that's impossible. My job as an investor is to understand the bigger narrative at play and invest early in that narrative, make profit, and basically outpace the traditional markets. Now, can anyone tell me the traditional markets, if you invest in index funds or mutual funds or just in traditional basket of like TradeFi, of traditional finance, what can you expect per year? Because what we have to do, if we're going to make the decision to invest in DeFi, which I'm not telling anyone here to do so, if we are going to invest in DeFi or in crypto in general, we have to have something to compare it to. Chad says 5%, Dick says 7 to 8%, Crypto Activator says 10%, Paulo says 8 to 14%. Love it. We're going to get some clarity on that first. 10 to 15% easily in traditional finance, 1 to 10%. Perfect. Yes, I have invested in ETF, but 8% is the best I could have. Awesome. The predictions for the next 20 to 30 years is 4 to 5% on average. And that's some really big names seeing where the markets are going, because we've gotten bigger returns than the average over the last 20 years in this last kind of generation. I mean, I know people who bought houses at 50 grand 40 years ago. Now they're worth 3-4 million, close to the city of Vancouver. Those opportunities don't exist for this upcoming generation of investors. It simply doesn't. Someone has to pay the price on the greed that has happened in the markets over the last 20, 30 years. You'd have to be an idiot not to have gotten filthy rich over the last 40 years. If you were just the average investor, if you were actively investing in anything over the last 40, 50 years, you probably did really, really well. Or 30 years, you did really, really well. That's starting to dry up, and someone has to pay the price of that. And so I base my returns on DeFi at, can I beat 5% a year on average over the next 20 years? Could I beat 5% a year in alternative investments or in crypto and DeFi, in watches, in whatever I'm investing in? Can I beat 5% a year? Now, you have to answer the question for yourself of if you believe you can. But 5% a year, and I want to zoom out and look at something here, and we're going to get more and more zoomed in into more and more DeFi. Deal? And by the way, this is two-way. This is interactive. You're welcome to always interact, always question what I say, agree with, disagree with. It's all good. Like, I want those conversations. This is not some, my way is the right way and you have to believe what I believe. I remain very open-minded. We're all learning here. I just do this full time, and we got a wicked team that I'm always talking with and doing this. All right, let's go. Present, share screen. All right, cool. Let's go. All right, awesome. So historical averages in traditional markets, this is by McKinsey & Co. There's a really great article, which I'll make sure I share. I kind of shared this in the UIG earlier today. Bracing for a new era of lower investment returns. Their analysts have been analyzing the markets. They're kind of a big name in this space, and someone whose research can be trusted. But they're basically saying, hey, over the last 30 years, Average return should have been around 6.5% on average, but the markets have returned 8% on average over the last 30 years. 8% over the average. And someone in somewhere has to pay for that growth. They're predicting 4% average over the next 20 years, 4% a year. So if we take that into consideration, then over the next 20 years in traditional markets, if you're just investing and dollar cost averaging into the markets, into some index funds or mutual funds, which the fees alone are going to eat you alive, we can expect 4% a year on average. Now, some years you'll make more, some years you'll make less, but over the next 20 years, 4%. So if we listen to the traditional financial advice of, hey, maybe you're starting with $10,000, I don't know, and you're putting 4%, you're earning 4% over the next 25 years, and you're going to deposit $250 more per month over the next 25 years, you would have made $70,000 in interest at 4%. And let's say you're a savvy investor and you beat that by 2%. You've made $132,000. So if you are 20 right now, by the time you're 55, 45, you made 132 grand in your investment portfolio through the ups and downs of the markets of what's being projected over the next 25 years. And this is if you're beating the market. Most people don't because they're emotional and they will actually be under the average, especially because most things are self-managed these days. So people make emotional decisions. But what studies and what research is dictating and saying right now is 4% a year. And so, $10,000 invested, $250 more per month, consistently over 25 years would give you $70,000. I don't know about you. And this $70,000 in 25 years is probably going to be worth 10 grand. Let's just be real. And who knows what the economy, what country will be who knows what 25 years looks like from now. So far following me. And we can adjust for that. You can say, no, I'm really awesome. I could do 7%. Okay, no problem. Oh, I have more money to invest and I have $500 a month to invest. Okay. Well, what does that actually look like? Well, maybe you have $1,000 a month to invest. Okay. Well, you still only made 231 grand and you're putting $1,000 in every single month. You made $231 in interest. And this is pushing it. Most people don't have access to, adding at that massive at a pace at $1,000 a month, but you can adjust this for your situation. Whatever it is, adjusted for inflation, this is probably worth nothing. We're probably just keeping up with inflation if we're honest. So far following me. I hope you are. Okay. Next. So that's that. Next. I'm going to use DeFi as an example, but we can use alternative investments. I know some people doubling down on cars right now. There's some pretty rare vehicles that are, they're predicting a 3 to 4x on some of these vehicles. And so they are coming together and investing in some of these vehicles. Now you have maintenance, you have storage, you've got all this stuff that comes with rare vehicles. Some people are doing this with art. Some people are doing this with gold and silver. Some people are doing this with collectibles. Some people are doing this with watches, whatever that is. People are leaving the stock market because they're saying, hey, I could beat what the stock market is going to produce or what traditional finance is going to produce over the next 20 years if I freaking, that right there is a 1950 BMW. Super rare bike. It was worth $3,000, $2,000 brand new. It's now $30,000 plus for a really well-restored model, which that one is close to being. That's a pretty good return. And so instead of having cash, I'd rather put that in a box, oil it up, and keep it for the next 40 years. Now, why did I choose DeFi as an investment vehicle for me, and why are we so heavy on DeFi? Well, let's just say you produce 20% a year. Now, we don't know where DeFi and what crypto will look like, but let's just say you do 20% a year by doing lending, which you can do 10% a month or 10% a year. You do some buy and holds, which my crypto portfolio is up 220% this year. So if I just sold everything, I've already locked in 20% over the next 10 years, basically. You get what I'm saying. And some yield farming on some really blue chip pairs where you're doing between 30 to 40% a year on. Super blue chip, and you're also riding the appreciation. I think you'd have to try very hard to not earn more than 20%. You would literally have to throttle yourself to not do 20% in alternative investments or some plays outside. Now, 20% a year on average every single year. No, maybe some years you'll see 100%. During a bear market, you might see 8%. But overall, you don't have to be in agreement with me, but I would, from my experience, doing 20% a year, even in bear markets, it's not that difficult. Even take it into consideration some potential losses or like, some money lost and sending of money to the wrong wallet. You don't have to agree with me, but if we look at that and we compare it, 20%, we're looking at already a very different reality at 20%. And I think so many people throttle themselves in crypto and DeFi and investing in general because they're thinking 1 year out. And they're like, well, 20% in 1 year, that's like nothing. I'd make $2,000 on my 10,000. I understand. It doesn't sound like much. But what if I consistently built up my skill set and for the next 25 years, I made it my mission to earn on average 20% a year as an investor? That has nothing to do with DeFi. Maybe you invest in some businesses. Maybe you invest in some crypto DeFi. Maybe you invest in some Bitcoin and it's up 140% this year and you took profit. Beautiful. You're good for the next literally 5 years of your projection. I think maybe you buy a watch for X amount of dollars and you double it and you sell it. Okay. Massive difference between this and the measly $80,000 or $100,000 that you'd earn at 4% a year. And if we see the world through the lens of an investor, this becomes very doable. Now, I'm not even going beyond 20% because the numbers start looking fake. At 50%, you're like a trillionaire or something, or you're a billionaire. If you could average 50% a year, now, who here has even a little bit of experience in crypto DeFi? Just a little bit of experience. Yeah, we'll talk about all that. Yeah, we have calls and replays and all that. But right now, I want to make this about y'all's, and then I'll talk about the UIG in the group. And I actually have kind of a special offer for anyone who wants to join us. But I don't want to bore people with that. Not everyone wants to join groups. I want the free to be super high value. I want people in DeFi to win, whether they're paying us or not, because it helps the whole ecosystem. Good. I got a little bit. Tane. Perfect. I got some. Perfect. Is making 20% in, we'll just call it crypto DeFi in general. If you were super patient and super calculated, would making 20% a year be with an even basic understanding, as long as you're not emotional, you are calculated, and you're strategic about it, would making 20% be like doable for people who have a little bit of experience in this space, even a little bit? I'll wait for an answer. 20%. If you bought and hold Bitcoin over the last 10 years, you blew past 20% on average. You blew past it, despite any market corrections beside anything else. Perfect. Now, if I push that a little bit, and I said, for those with experience, maybe more than 3 months experience, 40-50%. If you were strategic about it and you kept the blue chip stuff, and I'm not talking about, some years you might see a little bit of a pullback, some years you're going to see easy. I've been in some positions that are up 500x or 500%. But all in all, on average, if you aimed not to do 600% per year, but 50% a year, for anyone with some experience, just let me know. Oh, yeah, that'd be doable. 5% a month. Okay. Chance says yes, of course. So Chance got some experience. Opportunities will be different in a few years. I agree. Chris Crypto AI Corner says easy. Some people might say us, it's not that easy. That's cool. But if we took a zoomed out approach, which is what I really try to constantly bring to us, these numbers wouldn't even make sense. But our brains, our human brains, don't have a hard time thinking that far out. Even if we miss this by freaking 10x and we took away a zero, you're still doing really well. Even if we miss it by 100x, you're still a millionaire. Even if we missed it by 100x. And this is at 40%. We're not talking about in the bull market right now. Whoops. I mean, many people are doing, someone in here said they're doing, I just saw it. $8. I'm earning $8 today just utilizing 1,200. That is not uncommon right now. So they're doing $240 on 1,200, which is, it sounds like 20%. 20% a month times 12 sounds like 240%. I've done 100% lending stuff. Of course, the markets are in our favor right now. The markets aren't always going to be this crazy. DQ Crypto says, I feel like building a true DeFi business with starting capital of 3K seems impossible. There are many people who are starting with 3K. Is it easier to start with 10K, 50K, 100K? That's questionable, but to me, it's the skill set. And zoomed out far enough, I started my first business 30, 40K in debt. There was no money. But I think if we get resourceful, what if you got really good at the skill set over the next 6 months with $3,000 and you started showing people the results you're getting and people started giving you money? Because you got really good at it. And all of a sudden you have 30K of capital and you're taking a small piece of it. Most people start endeavors with little to no money. Most people. 95% of self-made millionaires started with $0, zero experience, but they started. You can start with $1. Will you make money and will you become financially free with $1? No, probably not. But if you play your cards right with $500, you can build momentum. And from that, you will build more confidence. And with more confidence, when you do get a little bit more money, you'll be like, hey, I'm really confident. I'm freezing here. I'm really confident. Matthew says, I almost double my money with DeFi in 3 weeks. Once you get good at this game, you can start seeing opportunities that most people miss. And yes, you can see doubles. I did some leverage stuff on some stuff that was really pumping and we tripled it. So 10K turned into 30K. That would be 1K turning into $3,000. Do I bank on that for my financial freedom? No. Those are like little gifts. Those are like little, I don't know, little bonuses. But I know if I remain steady and consistent, and I look at hitting my target, which for everyone in here is going to be a little bit different, but I'm just saying, what if my target's 4% a month? And I'm consistent with that. That's my expectation, 4% a month. And then I see an opportunity to say, holy crap, this thing is killing it. Holy crap, there's this new DEX. They got a native token. It's backed by this company. I could see a 3, 4x here. It's the exception, not the rule. And the better you get at this game, someone in here said, there we go. I just started a DeFi business for my 11-year-old son. Started with $200 last month. It's now worth over $300. And that 300 will be worth 500, that 500 will be worth 1,000, and now you're in the game. If you have $1 to your name, well, hopefully you don't just have $1 to your name. I don't care if you're deep in debt and your net worth is negative. If you can find $10 and start this DeFi thing with $10 and make it about mastering the process, mastering the skills, I know your $10 might be worth $12 next month. Big deal. It's not going to change my life. But what if you master the skill over the next 3 months and then you get a break and you do get some money, or someone sees what you're doing and wants to partner up with you? I don't know. And now you're confident with 3,000, 5,000, 10,000. Crypto and DeFi attracts, and I'm sorry if I disrespect some of you, but I say it with love, it attracts this very TikTok, brainish, something for nothing, results now, I want results tomorrow, and if I don't get it, I'm going to throw a temper tantrum, like weakness. And I say that with love because if you're like, oh, that's kind of me, or like, I'm kind of offended by that, or, oh, I'm triggered by it, I'll say it this way, is everyone I know who does well in the DeFi space is some of the most patient humans I know. They don't react. When charts move over 24 to 40 hours, they sit on their hands. They're in assets that they believe in long term. So to continue here, first goal, $1 per hour every hour, then DD dollars each week of that. Funny, I would, consider myself built a lot of momentum. There's this opportunity that's presented itself to me, and I'm never above the basics. And so I'm entering this kind of new system and opportunity that has kind of come to me. And I'm starting with $100 a month. What I mean by that is, can I earn $100 a month? And if I could do 100, can I do 200? And if I could do 200, can I do 400? And then when I do 400, can I do 800? I'm so big on in the UIG. Who's in the UIG doing the DeFi challenge? Can you make $3 a day? Because if we can't make $3 per day, we were not going to make 30 bucks or 300 or 3,000. Yes, sir, I am. But if we could make $3 a day, then we could say, hey, you could go into $10. I just achieved $3 a day. Congrats. That's $100 a month. Is that going to change Tane's life? On the surface, is that going to change Tane's life? I would argue that the answer is no if we are just looking on the surface of like, well, yeah, $3 a day is not going to change anyone's life. But the skill set and the knowledge that, hey, if I can do 3, maybe I can do 10. And if I could do 10, I could do 50. And if I could do 50, I could do 100. Now we could argue that it's going to change someone's life. My first dollar I ever made in business, I made $27. I spent 3 months building a business. And I remember my first $27, I think I made about $100 over 3 months, basically. And I spent forever designing this thing. I was in fitness back in the day, and I made $27. And I remember going crazy, ballistic. And my friends and people were like, dude, go get a job. You made like $100 for 3 months of your effort. Let's go like this. Let's say 10 working hours a day times 7 times 4 times 3. So I spent $840 and I made, let's just say $100 to make it easy. That is 11 cents an hour. To me, my life was forever changed because it proved to me, hey, I made $100 to make the math easy. So if I made $100 over 3 months, I wonder if I could do that in a month. Then if I could do that in a month, could I do that in a week, and then a day, and then an hour, and then a minute? Could I do it every second? Could I build such an empire of so many income streams and all these investments that I could earn that per second? Because if I can do it in 3 months, logic would dictate I could probably do that in a month. And I say this with love, but there's so many people in this space who are just, it does come with some life experience, but it's just like, well, if I can't get rich tomorrow, what's the point? All right, moving on. And I hope is can you all feel that this is coming from a good place? I don't want to belittle or make anyone feel less than. That's not my it's not I don't want to discourage anyone. But if what you've been doing isn't working, then we are most likely gambling, not investing, or we're thinking short term, not long term. Let's go. Wasabi. Started my DeFi journey mid-April. I'm now earning just over 3 grand a month. Let's go. Let's go. $18 per day for now, targeting 25 in 1 month. I love it. I love it. We could go through portfolio challenge in the portfolio review section in the UIG, and every single day, probably 2-3 times a day, someone's hitting $3, $10, $100. I just saw someone hit $3,000 a month. It took them 5 months to get there. To some people, that seems like forever. And to some people, they're like, oh, that's not that long of a time. Yeah. All right, cool. Why are you in this DeFi game? I'm really curious in the comments. It gives me an idea of kind of like who we're talking to. Why are you in this game? Why do you want to make money or passive income or whatever? Yeah, I'll hit this. We'll do a quick little Q&A at the end. We'll do like a 15-minute Q&A. So copy and paste that message and then send it to me again when we start the Q&A. I'm in it for the tech. $48 a day, but I was chasing yield. Love it. I want to be free. I want flow. Freedom. I want my time back. That's why I play this game too. I want more time for my family and my hobbies. We're all here to buy back time, more time, getting my time back, generational wealth, etc. I want to think of money as inventory, let it work for me. I need more time. I desire more time. Why not let your tokens work? You're holding them anyway. Make the coins to work for me. If our reason why, what is this? Oh, cool. If our reason why, buying an R8, there you go. Sweet. I want to share my screen here. This will be a great little chat. By the way, we're not even talking 100%, which with experience, if you know where you're looking and you can understand the narratives. I know some people will think I'm insane, but $100 a year is not that difficult. I think on average, you could, if you play the game right, see 100% a year. And I'm not even going to bother putting that into a compound calculator because the numbers are not believable. So we're just going to ignore it. So, yeah, I think we'll move on from that. I think I drove the point home. So next thing we need to think about is how are we going to allocate our portfolio? Now, back in the day, you probably seen things like, hey, allocate 40% of your portfolio in Bitcoin, some in ETH, some in whatever, and some in whatever. And hold that for the next 5 years or 10 years. Doable. I do think with that strategy, you would easily beat the markets over the long term, depending on how you allocate. I think you would, especially if you're laddering out, taking profit, no problem. I think you would beat traditional markets. At least my portfolio has over 10x beat my traditional portfolio. My crypto portfolio started way less than my traditional investment portfolio. And over 3 years, it's like 7 times bigger. And I started with way less. That's interesting. But now we're looking at, okay, how would we do this? Would we go blue chip here? Let me do this. You know, this may look like to you, and I really want you to think about this. If you haven't done any of this work, if you haven't thought through this, do not be in yield farms right now. Don't be at anything. Take a week, zoom out, really think about this. There's no point of you yield farming or chasing yield if you haven't thought through this. Okay, maybe this will be in blue chip LPs. And I want to aim for 50% per year. And I want, 40% of my portfolio in that. Here, I'm going to go, mid APY type stuff, mid APY LPs. I'm going to aim for 100% plus a year. 100% a year. Let's just go that. Here, again, I'm making this up. There could be more. You can sliver this up with more pies, so to speak. Here's maybe just like my buy and hold BTC ETH. Like we're talking blue chip buy and hold. And I'm looking for, price targets, et cetera, whatever. And this is going to be a little bit more of like, okay, here I'm going to be exploring like newer dexes, tokens, and like mid cap stuff. And I'm shooting for, 200% plus per year. Okay, now we're talking. There we go. And maybe here you're just shooting for like, hey, I want to do like 30% a year on this. Like on average. Over the next 10 years, I'd like to see a 3x, which I think is extremely realistic. I think we are shooting low for that. And now you can start saying, if I consistently held this allocation and this kind of returns for the next 5 years, what would my portfolio be worth? It would be worth a ridiculous amount, just so you know. There's a thing. Most people quit here. Let's just say this is like, I don't know, how far out do we want to look? How far out on average do you feel like you're looking? Yeah, 1% meme coin. How far out, like when you look at your investment portfolio, just be honest. How far out are you looking? A month, 3 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 25 years, 50 years? Are you thinking generationally, 100 years? Where are you at with that? In the comments. 10 to 15 years. I like that. That's about me. 2 to 4 years. Got it. So you're kind of looking at the bear bull cycles. Matthew would be looking more at the overall kind of market. He's not too worried about the noise in the middle. Up 80%, down 200%, up 300%. It really doesn't matter for Matthew, at least from what he left. Lewis is 2 years, so he's much shorter term. That's super short term. So he's kind of like trying to time markets. Tara says 20 years. He could care less what the markets are doing. He's investing long term. Mark, 7 years. Yep, you're kind of looking a little bit above what the big cycles are doing. Corey says 50 years, so he could care less about any of that. He's like, 5 to 10 years, 10 years, awesome. Sweet, awesome, 50 plus, cool. So 50 is that's you're a better man than I. I have a hard time seeing 50 years out, but I commend that. That's awesome. There's no right or wrong here, by the way. If you're watching this and you're like, oh, I'm just thinking 3 months out, no problem. You're going to be more focused on short-term narratives and ICOs, small cap stuff, newer dexes, and you're really trying to swing for home runs. Nothing wrong with that as long as you understand that you're taking the most amount of risk on. And it's going to be, that's it. You just got to understand where you're at. That's all. Yep, there's some generational wealth, 100%. Love that. And so I should have maybe said in the DeFi crypto markets, how far we're looking out. Overall, investing, businesses, the things we want to acquire, I'd be like hundreds of years out. Good. What are blue chips? That would be like the top market cap. You look at like the top 10 on coin market cap, you're looking at blue chips. Okay, moving on. So most people, if we're looking 10 years out, let's just say this is 2 years. They are freaking out. This is like, you're going to see a lot of this in 2 years. 10 years, you're going to see more of this. Oh, that's like less anxiety. Or, not exactly like that, but you get the point. Versus over a year, you might see this. Over 3 months, it's going to be the same. You might see this over 3 months. Or maybe you'll get lucky and you'll see this, depending how you timed it and how lucky you got. But also, the longer you are in this game, some people want to make 100% in 1 year. And they drive themselves insane. Some people are like, well, if I make 30% every year over the long term, over 10 years, you're going to be like 5, 6, 8, 10x your portfolio. You will be rich. You'll be wealthy. And to me, this is the game I want to play, whatever that number is to you versus this game, all day long. So far, so good. So what if we built a portfolio? Let's look at DeFi Llama. Let's get a little more granular. This is kind of what we the kind of philosophy we really want to sort of push, so to speak. And then we'll do a Q&A here. In 2 more minutes, we'll do a bit of a Q&A. But if I look at categories, you can start looking, how would I want to allocate my portfolio? What do I want it to look like? Okay, I'm gonna also, I could put another piece of pie here, right? Lending. I want 10 or so percent of my portfolio at all times lent out on big platforms, tried and tested platforms. But Lucas, that only makes me 8%. When markets are green, you take profit, you move it to lending, and then when the markets go red, you can redeploy that lending. It's not about the earnings, but it does help weigh out your portfolio because you might have some things doing 50%, some things doing 8%, and maybe 50% of your stuff is at 8%, 50% of your stuff at some time is at 50%. Weighted out or averaged out, you're doing 30% or 25%. You get the point. And so, where are we here? So I'm going to look at lending. And maybe I'll have some of my assets on Aave. I got some of my assets on Compound. I got Venus. I got Camino. I've got Sui, Solend, all of these things. And so I will have, Lucas, that's only making you 7%. When the markets are green, I'm taking profit and I'm moving it into different lending platforms. So when the markets go red, I can, and I'll let you guys complete that sentence. I can. Drum roll. Who's first? I want to have money on the sidelines, especially when the markets are green, when everyone is excited. I want to sit on stables, take profits so I can redeploy. Yep. I can redeploy in the market when everyone's freaking out. There was a study done, and I talked about this today, where when the massive bull market was happening in traditional markets, it was something like 70 or 80% of new capital in the markets was from new investors. They were buying the top. And when the markets crashed, something like 70% of capital left the markets. And it was like 90% of that capital was from everyone who deployed the top. They bought the top, they sold the bottom. Lucas, why would they do that? Why don't they just add more? When you're not in it, it's easy to see people's mistakes, but 90% of people make that mistake over and over. And I believe it's even worse in crypto. This is in traditional markets. This is in 2008. Most people lost a ton of money. It's not even a lack of knowledge, because most of us understand that. It's not the logical, it's the illogical, it's the emotional. Who here has bought tops and sold bottoms before? My hand is up. I've done it too. Who here has done that? Who here has done that? Yeah. When you look back, you're like, wow, why did I do that? Actually think through it. We freaked out. And how many people have done it and then the market recovered, and because they were in fear, they didn't deploy back at the bottom. They deployed kind of like halfway up or even at the top. I've done it. I've had times in DeFi where I was gone, I was traveling, I was on a road trip, and I was deployed in something, and I wasn't checking the internet for 3-4 days, which I do that. And then I came back and I read all these articles. Oh my God, this crashed, this boom. Then I look at my portfolio looked like this, and now it looks like this. And I'm like, I'm so happy that I missed all that bullshit. Because who knows? Maybe I would have bought into it and I would have sold the bottom. Sometime, who here has been gone during times of insane volatility? They came back and they were like, oh, like you missed the emotional roller coaster and your portfolio was just fine. Who here has experienced that? My hand is up. But we're emotional creatures. Our brains aren't designed to be able to handle these manufactured. Nothing in nature worries about their financial future. Nothing in nature worries about what the markets are doing, what Wall Street is doing. No, nothing in nature naturally worries about What's Bitcoin doing? And so it's only over the last little couple hundred years that like our brains are actually we're starting to worry about this stuff, and it's not natural. And so whatever your natural instinct to do is, my advice would be to pause and most likely do the opposite. Or if everyone is doing one thing, do the opposite, and you'll probably be okay. I had $100 worth at 40 cents. Love it. Now, and 2 more minutes, then we'll do some Q&A. You can actually start leaving questions down in the chat. I want to hit some of them. But let's talk about this. By the way, does everyone in here have the access to the DeFi as a business course? There's a new course coming out soon called Money and Investor Mindset. I'm starting to work on this. You will also get access to this once you're a part of a free course. You should get a notification within the free course to get access into the next free course. I really want to build out a nice suite of free courses for people who could really use the education, and a free course would really help them build momentum. And maybe they're just not ready to join the UIG, or they don't want to, or they just don't like me, but they want the free stuff. I'm cool with that as well. Or they just don't like spending money or investing money in that kind of stuff. I respect that. I'm not going to call you you have to invest in yourself. I recommend you do. I personally have spent 140 grand this year, probably a little more, in my own personal development and financial development. And I'm thinking of joining another investor group. It's 50K, but it's a really high level investor group to get access to certain deals that I want access to. So I'm really big on that. But I also understand if you're not, or if you've been burned in the past, totally get it. We want to start building out a bunch of free stuff so you can consume it. Let me know in the comments if you need access to it, and then I'll come back later and give you access to it. Maybe you want to get on some major dexes. And so you're going to start looking at some yields. You're going to get on maybe some Uniswap, some Pancake Swap, some Radium, some Aerodrome, Orca. Those are all Acetus, Trader Joe, all solid, quick swap, osmosis. And maybe you want to average around, where are we here? Yields. Maybe you want to average around, we're going to go higher TVL, $500,000 K. And maybe you want to average around, something around 100%-ish, which we're doing all day long. But maybe you want to average 50, 60%. So you're going to pick some higher, and then you're going to pick some really safe ones. I did a video. Who's seen the video on BTC? There's some really good BTC pools right now. They're doing like 40, 50, 60%. One's doing 100%, and I'm in that one. I'm really happy with that. I'm happy. Honestly, I'm happy with anything 50% or more per year. Like, I'm really happy with 50% or more per year. I'll do that all day long. And if you start going down here, you'll start seeing deep TVL on really solid projects that are doing 40, 50, 60%. Remember, the underlying asset you hold, you want to be super long-term, you want to be bullish on. There's tons of wrapped ETH stuff and ETH stuff that's doing 50, 60, 70%. Okay, now you're hitting your targets. Easy. And if we actually start zooming out and we say, hey, if I do that, if I do 40% over the next 10 years on average, I'm going to be really happy I did it, because I'll be borderline millionaire. You get the point. And then maybe you want to branch out. Again, get really familiar with DeFi Llama. A video comes out tomorrow with a deep dive on DeFi Llama. Plus, I'm going to be doing a deep dive. I'm redoing some of the inside the course here. There is a video on DeFi Llama. I'm going to be redoing it and doing an even deeper dive. All right, where are we? There we are. And then maybe you want to get into some staking and liquid staking. Who here is doing any kind of liquid staking? Some really good opportunities in that, especially if you're holding stuff long term. And then you get a liquid asset that you can further stake or further lend or further earn yields on. Super awesome. Maybe doing some real world assets. There's some really good, there's $4 billion in real world assets. And there's some really good projects in there. And this is only going to grow. This is going to grow like crazy. Okay, now you're averaging there, you're doing 12 to 13%. But it's balancing out the portfolio and it's adding some stability. So when you build a well-diversified, who here would say they have a well-diversified portfolio? And now we're going to go into some Q&As. If you don't know what this is or what I'm talking about here, at least grab the free course, or please subscribe to the channel and spend uh, 2 hours over the next 4 days going through some of the videos. You'll get it really quick, or just join the free course. Yeah, no US participation is a VPN type thing. Leave your questions in the comments. I'm going to end it with this. I lost track of what I was saying. Doesn't matter. Anyway, doesn't matter. I don't know what I was saying. All right. I'm struggling to understand the concept of rebalancing for me to continue earning yields. I feel that when I rebalance, I realize a loss. You do. You will see a loss when you rebalance. You will always lock in impermanent loss. Even if you're in the green, you're going to lock in impermanent loss. Our goal is to earn yields for a period of time, which is why I set a lot wider ranges than I think a lot of people think, or I go full range, where my yields will outpace impermanent loss. If you set tight ranges and you can play the scenario and do the math on it, you can say, okay, if I set tight ranges here, how much I'm going to earn per day and how much can things move before I have to rebalance. If I set a wider range, I'm going to earn less yield, most likely, on a daily basis. But if I stay in position for 3 months, which if you're rebalancing every week or every day or even every couple weeks, you might be a little tight on your ranges. You might be getting a little bit greedy. If I don't have to rebalance, then you're never going to lock in impermanent loss, ever. Your pool value will fluctuate consistently, but you won't lock in the impermanent loss. If you are rebalancing, you will always lock in impermanent loss, whether it's on the upside or downside. And impermanent loss can also, who here would love a video on impermanent loss? Like, I've done a few videos, but I could do another video on impermanent loss and use some calculators to show you the scenarios. Yeah, I'm gonna write this down, and I'm gonna do a video probably for Saturday. Okay, Saturday, I'm gonna do a really good one on impermanent loss, like a really, really good one, because it's probably gonna take 10 or 15 or 20 minutes to really explain. But yes, if you had to pick jam or butter on toast, I don't eat bread and I don't eat jam, and I do eat butter though, but grass-fed organic butter. But I don't eat jam and I don't eat toast because it's shit food. I love my body enough to not put that in my body. To be ready joining the UIG. Most of my questions concern rebalancing. I look at a tool that tells me the average pool. Yep. I kind of released one today, so that's worth checking out. We added some positions and we kind of grew the portfolio, and we consolidated some positions and got out of some other positions. Ton is a wicked performer. I was on David's TA call, and he's been talking about Ton for quite a while. There's some really good opportunities on Ton, 100%. Again, that's a shorter term narrative that we can take advantage of to see like a boost. Colin, I like his analogy. He's like, he talks Mario Kart, and you're driving around the racetrack, and like big hits of APY and returns are like a boost, but we don't want to rely on them. So many people just chase yields. Oh, the yields are high here, so I'm going to go here. Oh, they're no longer high, I'm going to go here. Nothing necessarily wrong with that. But what if the foundation of our portfolio is slow and steady? Every month we made money. I'm in a high interest savings account, and they offered me a really, really good rate because I got multiple six figures in there. I know some people who have millions of dollars in this account. They're offering 5% a year right now. I'm stupid to not do that, and I'm over the moon, overjoyed that I'm getting 5% on savings. So I think what's going on is like I rejoice at 5% a year. If it's and it's insured up to $500,000. It's insured, which is awesome. Whereas most people who maybe crypto is their first, they're like, I want 1% per day. And then they're wondering why 3 months later they're disappointed with their returns, although they still earn 30% or 20% or 10% a month. They're earning 100% a year, but it's not 300%, and they think they're doing something wrong. You are kicking Wall Street's ass by 10. Yeah, I ladder out everything. So you can set ladder out points. JS, are you part of the free course? I have a really good video on laddering out in there. But if y'all would like a video on laddering out, not in the free course, ladder out, I can also do one. There's a strategy we use. You can either Fibonacci it, which some people like doing it because it takes away all the math, or you can just do 10, 15, or 20% increments on your ladder out. Yeah, Brady, shoot me a message. We've got a team of 12 people in the UIG right now, and if you don't reach out to get support, we can't read your mind. So if you're a little confused in there, no shame. Just reach out to one of us, and we'll help you get back on track. The UIG is always growing, and we're building a ton. But don't hesitate to reach out. We'll get you on track. Good. Yeah, we're adding to a lot of the free stuff too. Yeah, I got into Arrow. I think I'm still up 2.5x on Arrow overall, and the yields are outpacing a lot of the losses, or at least breaking even. So I haven't changed anything. I've just been holding, and I've kind of been doing that. Arrow was introduced again. It's I just who here is in the UIG? I'm going to ask you a massive favor. Who here is in the UIG? Please, if you are in the UIG, if you're thinking about joining, the one thing I want you to do on a consistent basis, weekly basis, you're going to go into these end of week reports and you're going to read them. I think in March, we started talking about Arrow. It was a really good narrative. And we were doing leverage yield farming. So I went long on Arrow with around 10K. I don't know if anyone remembers that. And so that was somewhere around here. It was like late February, early March. And we kind of saw like, hey, the narrative is growing and there's legs for this. And so we got in under the price it is right now. And we've been earning 1%, if not more, during leverage since then. So our position is way up. So I'm not concerned with Arrow fluctuating. Even if it hits 50 cents, I'm not concerned. I'm still in profit. We also took a ton of profit here. We locked in 20K of profit, and then I moved that, and I'm doing other things with it. So we have about 10K exposure to Arrow right now, which is basically what I started with, and then I took profit off the top of a near 20K, and we documented that process in the UIG. Why I'm torn with sharing stuff on YouTube is because when I share something on YouTube, like it's oftentimes not real-time videos, except for these lives. And so someone will see something and they're like, oh, Lucas got in it. I'll just get in it. They don't understand. I got in it 2 months ago. And what I really want to do is focus on the education piece. So it's not about, oh, Lucas is talking about this. It's you can actually go into DeFi Llama, or you can look at narratives and understand it. Be like, oh, interesting. There's this new DEX. It's backed by this really big VC. And the tokenomics, like it looks really solid. You know what? I'm joining it. I'm going to invest, and I'm long-term. So I'm actually going to take leverage on it. I'm going to take 2x leverage, and I'm going to ride it. I'm going to take profits here, here, here. I'm going to remove, and now I'm riding on house money. That's the velocity of money. I understand that concept, and now I'm an investor. I'm not chasing. So to answer this question, if I bought Arrow at $2, did Arrow ever hit $2? Yeah, it did. Yeah, just if I hit Arrow at $2, then my thoughts on Arrow would be very different than if I bought Arrow at 10 cents and been yield farming it ever since. Entry is important. Understanding narrative is important. And becoming an investor, not a gambler, is important. Can I get an amen to that? Or yippee-ki-yay, or whatever your your slogan would be. The DEX itself, it's a big contender. I'm not going to recommend anything, but I really like the DEX itself. I think there's a ton of potential there. And they release their V3 now. You can get some really awesome yields on it. Yeah, that's awesome. El Salvador, that's so awesome. I'd love to come visit. Good. I don't have CKB. So new UIG members, you guys help restructure the portfolios. By the way, we do have kind of something running for the UIG. It is going to be for the next 24 hours. If you do want to join CryptoLabs, email me directly. That's info@CryptoLabs Research. I rarely check my email, but for the next 24 hours, I'll be checking it. And subject line, just like YouTube UIG promo. Put YouTube in it, put UIG, and put promo, and I'll email you back with something juicy. That's going to be for the next 24 hours, and then you won't get a response to the email. But over the next 24 hours, I've got something juicy that you may enjoy if you're serious about joining. If not, totally cool. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, hang out. We have this in the UIG. You will get access to it fairly quickly. It's called the portfolio review section. And you can see hundreds of portfolios. So someone here over on Aerodrome just took the first $100 in trading fees, put it back in. You can see the portfolios or allocations. Some people are doing, this is a really juicy portfolio. They're doing $100 per day within their first month at the UIG. And you can see their positions, you can see the values, you can see the returns, and you can actually, there's a lot of back and forth. We'll also see some portfolios that really need some help. This one's doing around $8 per day. And some portfolios, I'm like, little bit of adjustments needed. And as you can see, there's something being posted. I mean, multiple, sometimes 2-3 portfolios per day, and that portfolio can be yours. So if you do join and you want your portfolio reviewed, you post it in here. Me, instructors, and the community, we now have a team of 12 total. Not everyone's an instructor. You're going to get eyeballs on it. So don't hesitate to share, whether you're using our tracker. One of our members created a really awesome tracker that's software, and it's free. This tracker here, which is super awesome, and it shows you your positions, how long you've been in something. So this guy's been in some stuff for over 73 days. Super cool. You get the point. Okay. So yes, we will review stuff and give you feedback. Again, we got to be thinking quarters, if not 6 months out, or the short-term market fluctuations will destroy you. Remember too, do you guys have time for one more lesson? Let's go, Tane. One more lesson, a really quick one, I promise. I know we're over, but shoot, I had a call. Did I have a call at 2? I did. One sec. Oh no, that's 3 o'clock. Perfect. Good. Let me triple check my calendar. No, I'm okay. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm good. Okay, cool. Brain fart. All right. Where are we? Going back. Okay, one more lesson. Beautiful. What was I going to share here? This shows my one-track brain. We were talking about, I got excited by something. We were talking about, what were we talking about? Can you guys help restructure portfolio? Forget what we were talking about. So it's probably not that important. But anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. It's fine. Something about portfolio structure and ensuring that you're allocated and diversified properly, and that you've got the right. Yes. Cool. So yes, that's right. Your LP portfolio and your BR portfolio, which I do see them as different things. This is kind of long-term holdings, and this is cash flow. If you have, just to set expectations properly, if you have I don't know, let's just call it, you've worked your way up to having a $5,000 portfolio here, and you've been taking 10% of your profits and you've been kind of moving it into your bull run portfolio. And now you have a $500 bull run portfolio, and you're starting to really build momentum here. Just know that at any given time, your portfolio could go up and it could be worth tomorrow, it could be worth 5,800 amateur hour over here. And you could wake up tomorrow and it's worth 4,200. That's a pretty big fluctuation, but you could. And your bull run bag could be worth $700 tomorrow, depending how it's structured and what's happening in the market. And it could literally be worth, I don't know, $200 tomorrow. Question to the group here: if you are in assets that if you have no idea why you're in what you're in, would this concern you? Would this concern you? You're just kind of investing in stuff because other people told you to, but you don't really understand what they're solving. You don't understand the team. You don't understand what they're building. Remember, you're not investing in projects. You are investing in teams. I actually want to repeat that. You are not investing in projects. You are investing in teams. You are always investing in people. Even if it's a business, you're investing in people. People look at the shiny wrapper of something. It's right here. CryptoLabs research, all one word. If you're looking to for a little something, if you're thinking about joining the UIG, don't have to, but if you see value in a group that supports each other and has curriculum and all that. Anyway, if you're in assets that you don't believe in, would you be worried? Yes, someone said yes. Very, very worried. Good. If you are in assets that you understand, that you've researched, that you believe in, you understand the team, you understand the projects, and just the entire market overall is just kind of having a bad week or bad month, would you be that worried then? If your portfolio fluctuates, which it will, there's not going to be a single day where your total value of the portfolio will not fluctuate either up or down. There's not going to be a day. There's not going to be a week. There's not going to be a month. There's not going to be a quarter. There's not going to be a year. It's always fluctuating. And if we're zoomed in this close, then we're always going to be reacting to the markets. But if we're zoomed out over here, then, okay, oh, markets are down 20%. Oh, they're up 30%. Okay, don't care. I want cash flow and I'm looking yearly. Can I hit my target? Yeah, I probably just dented it. It's got a paint protective wrap on it. It's actually not green. The R8 is black underneath. Wicked. Anyway, I could talk about cars all day long, but I won't go that direction. I am looking at something really, really sexy. I just put an offer for something today that I'm very excited by. But anyways, how do I take that off the screen? The comment's too far. Doesn't matter. Play the long game. Be strategic with how you're approaching this. Be in assets you believe in long term. Yeah, we should do a UIG racing team. I like that. The car I'm looking at would be a perfect child for that. Anyway, let's not get excited. Let's not get too excited by that. Play the long game. And I know we could talk about paradigms, and I'm going to end this live because we've been going for a long time. What you see here, because I know R8s, Lambos, Porsches, cars, I get how attractive it is. It was never the primary goal. I would not buy this if I wasn't very solid in my portfolio and just in how things are structured. And I would give this up in a heartbeat if this caused stress, if it removed freedom, if it put me financially in a pickle. I would sell it tomorrow. I love it, but this does not. I don't want to paint the picture that we're doing all of this and we're trying to make money for this. There's enough of that on the internet. I genuinely love cars and it's an expression of who I am. I was making around 50, 60 grand a month. This is about, I don't know, 5 years ago. And I was driving a 2012 Dodge Ram. And I joined this mastermind where people were making 40, 50 grand a month. And they were all buying Lambos and Rolexes and all this stuff. And they were kind of making fun of me. I'm like, why don't you? I'm just like, I don't care. I love cars. But it's all good. I'm just going to keep investing this money. Let me build momentum. And in my brain, I'm like, I want to get to the point where I can buy this kind of stuff cash. So I'm not paying 10, 12% freaking interest on it, which people are paying right now for bullshit like this Audi. And if I totaled it and insurance didn't cover it, if it got stolen tomorrow, I'd be bummed out, but like it wouldn't financially impact me. Peace, peace, freedom, options, time is much more important to me than material possessions. And I love material stuff just like anyone else. I'm not saying I don't. I'm looking at a vehicle right now that is keeping me up at night, and I hope that deal goes through. But it's secondary to the primary goal, which is time. I want to be able to wake up every day and do something that's meaningful to me. The CryptoLabs would not have been able to be started if I needed money. And if I'm completely honest with you, the only reason CryptoLabs grew so fast, it was the fastest growing crypto DeFi group. Some of the biggest names in the space are partnering with us. We didn't follow the traditional route for building this business either. When you don't need it to work, I remember starting CryptoLabs and I'm like, if 100 people join, like we'll keep it. And if they don't, it's okay. We'll just move on to something else. And I was like chilling in Mexico. I was kind of like, anyway, it doesn't matter. But because you didn't need it, it works so much faster. So many people starting a business from desperation and they just like need it to work, and that's why it doesn't work. Same with investing. There's universal laws and principles at play here, which I'm not going to get into, but if we let go, it becomes so much easier. I want to be in a position that if UIG and CryptoLabs was stripped from me, I don't know, if it just disappeared tomorrow, I don't know, whatever, that I could wake up and still do something that's meaningful to me and build and serve in a way that's aligned with me. That to me is the most important. Okay, I'm going to get out of here because I could keep going, but we're probably all Lucased out here, and I don't want you to be fully sick of me yet. I'm in CryptoLabs research, but I don't know where to find the software portfolio tracker. So the software portfolio tracker was designed by a guy named Chad. It is free. He designed it for the UIG members. If you hop into the community, see flowers, hop into the main community right here. The underdog community, which you'll have access to, and just jump into the community feed and post, hey, I'd love a link to the portfolio tracker. It is private, so we don't share it for other people. But the second you ask that question, someone will share the link with you and you'll get access to it. So we don't have it in the curriculum because it's technically not ours. But Chad, who is a software designer by trade, he designed it for us and for our members, and he kind of gave back to the community. So just post in the main community, and someone within very quickly, probably be me, will make sure that I reach out to you. Cool. Let's go. Beautiful. Then hopefully I'll see y'all in the UIG very soon. We do these every single day. We do a live call every day, and I usually do 2 to 3 kind of bonus ones during the week recently, because I know the markets are red, and so we have to keep our spirits high. We have to keep long-term vision, and we have to be investing for the long run, because your portfolio may be dropping right now in total value, and you may be adding more to it, but when the markets turn around, your portfolio will be worth a lot more overall. And now is the time to enter, not the time to run. Mentally, most people understand that. It's like emotionally, most people do the opposite. And I'm here to just keep sharing this message. When the markets are red, you enter. When the markets are green, you take profit and you rinse and repeat for the long term, and you will become wealthy. That's my message, and it's not revolutionary. Just not very many people are talking about that in crypto. That's all. Cool. I'll check my inbox in about 10 minutes and I'll fire off some responses. We got something for you. Cool. Appreciate y'all. With that said, I'm going to end this stream and subscribe to the channel, share this with someone, engage with the content on YouTube. YouTube cannot grow without your support, and YouTube's been growing really quick. We want 100K subscribers. Again, I don't care if 99% of our audience just consumes free content. We want 100K subscribers because what's good for DeFi and the overall market is good for us, those who are really, really invested in it. We need more mature investors so there's longevity and there's stability in these markets. Yeah, that's the mission. All right. Appreciate y'all. We'll get out of here.